Want to show you a video clip of something I believe is very unusual. Maybe the first time this has been captured on video before, but it's someone who turned down an offer from the government to house asylum seekers, predominantly men, in a property that he owned. Now, they'd approached him before, it didn't work out, they approached him again, and effectively, and you'll hear this from this man's mouth yourself, he turned down an offer of what could have been €750,000, 750 odd thousand euro per year, just to house men in his property. He didn't do it. Well, the reason why? The man was already a builder, probably a very successful builder. He had his own premises, his own licensed premises. He had income coming in from other sources. Of course, he could have supplemented it even further by taking the coin, but he didn't, because he assessed and he weighed up the damage that would cause to his local community, and he just wasn't prepared to go that far. But of course, many landlords are not quite possessing of those same non-cutthroat, lining of the pockets characteristics. So I want to play you this little video clip. I recorded this last Friday night when I was down in Carrickmacross in County Monaghan, and even just today I did a video earlier on another iPass centre that's supposed to be opening very soon in a convent and secondary school that's being converted to house so-called, well, they say families, it's going to be a family centre, but it could be anybody going in there. There's other instances, one in Castle Blaney in particular, which is not too far away from Carrickmacross in County Monaghan, and another place, are all experiencing the same issues in rural Ireland. So let's hear from this guy, let's hear what he has to say, let's hear the figures, and you can make your own minds up about this one.
My name is Damian, and I have a construction company, and I own a bar and a restaurant in County Meath.
Just in case you missed that, his name is Damian. He owns a bar and a construction company in County Meath. He puts the microphone further up to his mouth. You'll hear it a little bit better.
When the war in Ukraine started in 2022, the council reached out to properties looking for accommodation for Ukrainian women and children, and their offer worked out about $35,000 a month.
Hold the mic to your mouth.
Without negotiation. We have 6 rooms. We would generally have about €5,000 worth of accommodation sales per month, so this was some offer. We agreed. After cancelling all bookings, we couldn't get clarification on what was going on and who exactly was being sent to us. So the contract was cancelled, but I did make them pay for the time they had blocked the accommodation from being booked by others.
So this was a first approach that had been made for 6 rooms. It would have given him €5,000 a month, or roughly 60 grand a year. But there was no clarification on exactly who would be going in there. There was a bit of messing around on the process. So he decided not to proceed with it at that point. Okay, and got reimbursed for the time that he'd closed down to allow for other things to be done. This was the first attempt that was made when this man was approached.
Fast forward to recently, and we were contacted again about housing men, and the rate they now pay is €84 per person per night, and apparently you can put 4 in a room. That works out at over 2,000 a night, over 60,000 a month, nearly €750,000 a year for a house. Food, and if required, transport was on top of that, and that would not include whatever they were receiving themselves personally.
Just think about this. Mathematically, this guy would have been coining €750,000 per year for a house. Multiple rooms, multiple men going into each room, and then there were other costs that would have been on top of that, not including money that these men would have been receiving also in ways of benefits. This is insane, and this is just one property in one place, let alone what's going on right across Ireland. It doesn't take long for that €1 billion a year plus bill to be racking up. They reckon the cost this year alone will be 1.2 billion on so-called asylum seeker or IPAS International Protection Accommodation Services Centre payments, 1.2 billion plus. But yet, nurseries are closing down. Children can't get mental health counselling. Hospital waiting lists are going up. There's no money for any of that. But when it comes to this business, it's there.
As I contemplated taking the money, I thought to myself, I don't live here, it's not going to affect me, but how will it affect the people of this area? Was there any positives for the community? With the accommodation gone, our overseas tourists and people attending weddings in the venues nearby would no longer be able to avail of that service. In the bar, restaurant, we cater for funerals, communions, birthdays, parties, that's gone. We are rural, so it's a place where local farmers get a chance to meet and have a pint, chat and a bit of crack. They won't come here if there's 30 men hanging around outside. The school buses drop and collect kids from our car park. Will they feel safe? I concluded there was no benefit to the community and no quality of life for the men. The only benefit was to me financially. I have a nice house and a nice family. I don't need anything else. We declined.
No benefit at all for that community. None. No benefit for the community. And even the men, he's talking about the men going in there, 24 to 30 men. What are they going to do all day? They're getting free accommodation. They're getting benefits paid into their hand, but what are they going to contribute to the society? School playgrounds, school pickup areas nearby, local businesses wrecked, tourism into the area impacted, and on it goes. No benefit to the community. The only person that would have benefited would have been him, just him, and of course his family, to the detriment of everybody else in the area. So the question has to be asked right across the board: who benefits when these centres are opened up? Does the community benefit? Is it enhanced? Is it enriched? You hear the argument being made all the time, oh, we need migrants to come in and work. We need them to come in and do this and do that. This is not who's going into these centres. These are men that have been in an area, for example, like Carrickmacross for years and years. Some of them can't even speak English, have never worked, contribute nothing. Nothing. The real winners are the landlords.
But it raised some other concerns for me. I regularly drive through Finglas in Dublin, and there are Irish men and women sleeping in tents on the roundabout and under the bridge of the M50 and N2. They are there for 2 years. Why can't they do this for them? They were willing to pay me $60,000 a month for this, yet my kids' school have been fundraising for months to get, coincidentally enough, $60,000 to build a playground in their school, as there's no money available from the Department of Education. Obviously that $60,000 is being used by another department.
$60,000 a month he would have got for putting those men, those migrants, those asylum seekers into his house. $60,000 a month, but yet his own kid's school can't fundraise $60,000, or the department says we don't have $60,000 available to build them a new playground. They don't have it, or they don't want to spend it, or it's being siphoned off into other things. This is straight from the horse's mouth, folks. This is evidence of the corruption and the treachery that's being carried out by the Irish government and the people that are writing these cheques or signing off on these payments.
The amount the government are paying these landlords is insane. This needs to be negotiated downwards, because purely from a financial point of view, if I was so inclined to take the offer, I would have done it for half the price. I think maybe the reason there is no political will to do this is that there are politicians like Healy Ray and others with financial interests in this type of business. The people arriving in seeking asylum are merely a form of currency for some of these landlords and people bringing them in. And sometimes those people are one and the same. If they don't care about them, they will stack them high in warehouses and factories, charging astronomical fees, which the government, it seems, are happy to pay. Actually, under a HICWA inspection, one hotel was found to have 10 men in one room. And they don't care about the effects on local communities by putting hundreds of men with nothing to do but walk the streets in small communities. There's so much more that could be said, but I'll leave it at this. Should the government stop allowing small communities like this to be destroyed and wasting taxpayers' money? We are not going to solve a housing crisis by adding more people to it, unless those people are actually skilled construction workers. It might actually be cheaper to pay the EU fines and let another EU country provide this. To the businessmen like Banty and the likes who have made millions from the scam, when is enough enough? How much more money do you really need?
Well done, that was like a lot of information for a lot of people. Like, that's a guy that has turned down the opportunity to turn his area into a shithole, and that's the fact of it is like he's been offered to flood his business with people with zero security clearance or anything like that, and he turned it down. You have to give him credit for that. Okay, so.
Fair play to that man. And he asked the question for all the other greedy people that are out there: how much money do you actually need? How much money do you actually need? What does it take, or how little do you care about your area or your community, that to line your own fat pockets further, you'll turn the place into, as this man says, a shithole? That's just the long and short of it. So that's just one guy. There aren't a lot of people like this giving a testimony like that, and I don't believe he was doing it. He seemed like a humble man. I don't believe he was doing it for credit or to be highly patted on the back. He was humble. He kept his shoulders up and his head down. He wasn't beating his own chest and saying, "Look at me." He was stating facts. He was stating facts. And maybe other people in that area that are tempted by the same offers when they don't really need that money, but would take it to benefit themselves first and foremost and have the community destroyed. Maybe someone will hear it. Maybe this will prick a few consciences. I don't know. But even if it stops one more centre being open, well then surely that testimony is worth hearing and worth sharing. So that was from Carrickmacross, County Monaghan. Other things are afoot in Carrickmacross, I believe, and now in Castleblaney and other areas in and around about. Have been for a while, but it keeps happening. Whack-a-mole. One centre closes, another one opens up somewhere else, and there's that many of them that far and wide across Ireland. It's almost impossible to keep up with them. But anyway, I'm doing what I can. So are you, by listening, commenting and sharing this content. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already do so, and share the content freely. Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, cut and paste the link, throw it around, do whatever you want with it. But for now, I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media, and I'm over and out.